Right, so Fantastic Four. I've finally been able to watch it. It's only been out a few days, so I'm not sure why I was there. Finally been able to watch it, but yeah, I went out and watched Fantastic Four, as I am one to do on this channel. Yeah, let's talk about Fantastic Four. It's actually perfect. You know, I said that the Superman movie that came out earlier in the month was perfect. What a great month for me personally, but also what a great month to be a comic book movie fan or a comic book fan, because we had two really good, faithful, unflinching comic book movies. And why I say unflinching is because both of them feel unafraid to be comic book movies. You know, you can say that, you know, something like The Dark Knight is great. You can say something like The Dark Knight is really good. Something like Dark Knight Rises is really good. Something like Joker, really good. They're kind of... And even with, like, modern MCU stuff, even the ones that are good movies, you feel almost are kind of shying away from being comic book films, or these movies feel unashamedly comic book. Superman, with how much shit is thrown into that movie, this one is a lot more focused, but not only like seeing Galactus in the flesh, and he doesn't look like a cloud or some rippling waves like what Dormammu looked like. You know, he looks like Galactus ripped from a comic book. Maybe he's a little bit more discolored. That's about it. The design is pretty much there. You know, the Fantastic Four all act and feel like the characters from the page. You know, this movie is unashamedly fun, whimsical. It feels like a comic book film. It doesn't feel like a movie that just happens to have comic book characters in it. I'm gonna, you know, talk about things that I didn't like, because there isn't much. There is very little that I didn't like. And most of it had to do with the way that the film was being marketed. But if there's anything that I didn't like, what I was the most skeptical about going in was Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic. I thought everyone else was perfectly cast. First off, and this is going to be, you know, if you've seen one of these videos that I've done talking about any movie that I've seen, spoilers are going to be talked about. I'm going to talk spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, if you haven't seen Fantastic Four yet, go watch it. Don't let this movie not do well. Don't do the same thing you did with Thunderbolts with this. This is a really good movie. It deserves your time. It deserves your money. Go watch it. If you have any interest in going to see Fantastic Four at all, go watch it. And it's really... I never thought I would get the chance to say this. I can recommend this Fantastic Four movie. Fourth time really is a charm. You know, so yeah, I really enjoyed this film, but there were things that I didn't like, and it's very little. It's a very short, comprehensive list, but there are things that I didn't like, and you know, one, the Thing is too small, and I think just if. My theory is that once the Fantastic Four cross over to the main universe, this movie doesn't take place in the main MCU universe, which makes this a great jumping on point. If you've never seen one of these movies before, somehow you've never seen a Marvel movie before, and somehow you decided to watch this video, you know, this is a great jumping on point for anyone, if you're like gonna take your nan who's not seen Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, that this is the first thing that they've gone to see because they really like that guy from The Bear. Or if they really liked that guy from Stranger Things and he's in this. Or they really like Pedro Pascal and he's in this. You know, this like has no like things from other movies in it. This only has like the 5-second or the like minute long after credit scene which sets up things that are going to happen after this movie. You don't need to have watched anything else in the MCU to get this. Thank you. As much as I am going to be the number one cinematic universe defender and the number one defender of that's why it's so cool that it's a cinematic universe, because it means that characters can just show up. It means that you can be rewarded for having watched everything. I also understand that what the MCU and Marvel Studios have done recently with stuff like The Marvels, stuff like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, stuff like Multiverse of Madness, is not reward people for watching everything, but punish people for not watching everything. This does neither of those things. It's completely self-contained, which is great. I would really like to see, and I'm excited to see these characters interact with the rest of the MCU when they do come over. But I really appreciate this movie for 100% being self-contained. 100% being self-contained. I really appreciate this movie for doing that. What I was going to say about The Thing is I think his design is probably going to change going over to the main MCU. I think he might get bigger to be more in line with the Hulk scale. If only because if those two characters fight, it's going to look really mismatched the way that The Thing looks in this. Like, in scale. Actual design, perfect. Just scale him up a little bit for when you get him to fight the Hulk, if you are going to get him to fight the Hulk, which, like, you have to. You kind of have to. My other thing, I was worried about Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. That worry went away within seconds of watching this film, of seeing Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. His first scene as Mr. Fantastic, there. It's on the money. The only issue is I don't see Mr. Fantastic as the guy who swears. I don't even see Mr. Fantastic as the kind of guy who calls Susan baby. Even like with the context around that, it makes sense. But I don't see, you know, I think Reed is more affectionate to Susan in this movie than I've seen Reed be affectionate to Susan in any Fantastic Four comic that I've read. And is that a good thing? Yeah, it makes Reed more relatable, but I don't think he should be. And, you know, and the whole, like, Reed just coming out and saying, oh, that's the biggest piece of bullshit I've heard. That just seems really out of character for him. Again, I'm nitpicking. The rest of this movie, the rest of this video, I'm going to glaze the film. Everything else is perfect. Just that one thing was like, I don't know if that's something that Reed would say. I never saw Reed as the kind of guy to swear. But also, you know, this is a cinematic universe that has been so laissez-faire with how they've been treating characters. I mean, we pretty much are there with Reed as with Reed in this movie. So one like dodgy line, you know, I can forgive one line. I can forgive one line. Everything else is great. Maybe in the last, like, the big action sequence at the end of the film, I did feel like maybe everyone was the Thing was pretty much useless in that last action sequence. He broke some pillars and he knocked down the building, but he didn't really do anything. He had like his hero moment where he did eventually say it's clobbering time, but you know, he has the least to do in this film, and that's kind of great because the Thing exists to do what the Thing exists to do, and that's, you know, really, and that's all you can really ask for. But yeah, everything else in this movie, you know, Vanessa Kirby as Susan Storm, bang on the money. You know, this is the ultimate like matriarch of the Marvel universe, and you know, she gives exactly 100% of that energy into the film. Johnny Storm, you know, is perfect in this film as well, and this is where I say about how the film was marketed. There was an interview with Joseph Quinn where he was like, in previous incarnations of the Fantastic Four, Johnny has been like this like, Johnny has been like this ladies' man, but is that sexy anymore? And now, in this film, Johnny Storm is a ladies' man, you know, and he's everything that interview kind of played out that he wouldn't be. And, you know, I'm not saying that like something that's said in an interview it should be taken as gospel, or that because, you know, people say things to sell a movie or to like drum up clicks on the internet, you know, forever, and that, you know, the context for that could have been completely different. But the funniest thing is that was made such a big deal, but the Fantastic Four win. The reason why, the way that the Fantastic Four win in this movie is because Johnny is horny for the Silver Surfer. That is why the Silver Surfer is a woman in this and not a bloke, because A, how much outrage would there be if Johnny Storm was gay? Just imagine that. But also, you know, the climax of the movie doesn't work if Johnny Storm doesn't have the hots for the silver woman on the surfboard for the majority of the film. And also, my reasoning for why it's Shalabal in this and not Norrin Rad, they're saving Norrin Rad for either Secret Wars, where they're going to probably do something with Galactus in that. I don't know what. I don't know where he fits in there. But, you know, I don't think this is the last movie that we see Galactus in. I hope it's not, because the guy that they've got, Galactus is probably the best MCU villain, in my opinion. Like, Galactus is probably the most well done MCU villain when we go from portrayal from comic book to screen, and the way that they kind of have him as not a malevolent being, but someone that's just like a cosmic, just like a force of nature, almost. And the film kind of shows that in the best way. But yeah, I just find it weird how the marketing of this film worked out. It doesn't detract anything from the film, because like I've been saying, this film is great. Some would say fantastic. Say that again. I just think it's a bit weird to use kind of like clickbaity tactics to try and drum up hype for a film that is genuinely just really good. Like, the way that you could sell this film. Do you remember back in the day when people sold films by saying this film is really good, and by having the actors be excited about it? A majority of the way that this film's being marketed is that, but there's just some weird stuff. And there's weird stuff that floats to the top as well. But that's just it, and that stuff really is irrelevant to the overall quality of the film itself. The important thing is, the important takeaway of the movie is it's great, and I'm really happy that there is a Fantastic Four movie out right now that captures these characters in a way that I've always thought of them in the comics. And like I said at the start of this video, it is a really good year to be a comic book fan. Not only, Captain America Brave New World, we can take or leave. I thought that movie had good things in it, especially because I watched it again recently. I thought the film had good things in it, even if the overall product is marred by, the weird Marvel stuff that seems to be in every MCU showing that comes out in February. Thunderbolts was genuinely fantastic, genuinely amazing. I'm trying not to say the same words. I'm trying to, at least look like I have a decent grasp on the English lexicon. Meanwhile, probably using the word lexicon in the wrong context. But neither here nor there. Thunderbolts was great. And now Fantastic Four lives up to the name of the title. And I'm really excited to see these characters show up again. I'm really excited for Doomsday. I wish Doomsday was happening, 5 years from now, so we could get a Fantastic Four 2, so we could live in a world where the Fantastic Four have been part of the MCU for a while. Heck, I would take a movie that makes us care about Doctor Doom. Does this make me like re-fall in love with the MCU? I don't know. All I know is that I take each project as it comes, and the ones that I really enjoy, great. And the ones that I don't think are as good won't affect me as much because I'm more invested in what's going on in the comics at the moment. But what is happening in the MCU, at least with this film, with Thunderbolts, I really enjoyed. And I enjoyed this film because it was tight, and it was just the heroes versus the villain, and they didn't throw 100 characters at you, or at least they didn't expect you to care about all of the characters that they threw at you. They did show certain Fantastic Four villains, and drop Easter eggs for Fantastic Four characters that probably won't show up in another film, or won't have the opportunity to be main antagonists. Like, Red Ghost is never going to be a main antagonist. It's weird that John Malkovich stayed in the trailer but isn't in the final product. He's not even a end credit scene. Stay for the end credits, by the way. But yeah, John Malkovich. If you're excited to figure out what John Malkovich's role in this film is, drop that notion. He's not in the film. However, I think that scene is going to be in Doomsday. I think it's Council of Reeds. I think he's playing Reed's dad, or a variant of Kang that's not. I think he's playing the final variant of Kang, the one that's not Jonathan Majors. If that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but I think John Malkovich will show up in Doomsday. Just have that at the end of the Fantastic Four trailer. John Malkovich will eventually show up in Avengers Doomsday. That being said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Fantastic Four. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Pedro Pascal and the most recent controversy. If I'm going to weigh in on that real quick, I don't I don't think wanting to hold hands with someone when you're suffering with anxiety, I don't think that makes you a creep. I don't think, wanting to, because, the big thing that people are saying is that he is using anxiety to be inappropriate with women, even though he does the same thing with, he's held hands and been close with Oscar Isaac in interviews as well. So you're going to say that he's using it to get with Oscar Isaac as well, or to be inappropriate with Oscar Isaac? Plus, none of these things are coming from people that he's worked with. They're coming from people that look at that and think, oh, he's popular, he's in movies, he's just been in a movie that was really good and is getting rave reviews. Let's try and tar his reputation. And I really don't like that. And not, if it comes out in many years or if it comes out that, Pedro Pascal is a bad actor, then I'll rescind this. But I just think at the moment, especially, because I know people that genuinely do suffer with anxiety and do like the comfort of having someone to hold or touch or have someone there to calm you down. I can kind of sympathize with that in a way, especially as a massive mental health advocate as well. It's just that. But I'm more than willing to say that it is a grey area at the moment, but also there are a lot worse people in Hollywood doing a lot worse things. There are a lot worse people, that are genuine monsters that are getting away with a lot worse, that no one's talking about. And I think muddying the conversation with trying to tar the name of someone who is just popular at the moment kind of takes the spotlight, or takes the light off of people that probably do deserve to be named and shamed. That's just my 2 cents on it. However, that's completely irrelevant to the Fantastic Four. I just didn't feel like making an individual video about that situation. However, Fantastic Four is great, and I don't like that a really good movie might not do as well as it should do because it's being muddied and surrounded by controversy. So, you know, and I know that people are going to bring that up in the comments, and if people still do, it'll be obvious that they didn't make it this far in the video, so we'll just leave it at that. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you think of Fantastic Four. Did you like it? Did you not like it? I'm not calling it Fantastic Four First Steps, because even though that is the full title of the film, Fantastic Four is just easier to say. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.